Hey, man, you don't need enemies when you got friends like us, brother.
That's right, no doubt. I take a beating every time. Hey, on a serious note, Jason, the FLW tour schedule came out today, or the pro circuit schedule came out today. That looked to me at first glance like it fits into your wheelhouse pretty good, huh?
I'm all in, man. Like I'm as long as everything works out with, once our schedule comes out with MLF,
right?
I'm fishing both circuits. Period.
Right.
I mean, I'm 100% committed to fish MLF and FLW. Again, we're full time in a fifth wheel, so it honestly doesn't cost us a dime more to park at any place than it does another. So I might as well be fishing. So, I love Major League Fishing. Major League Fishing has done a lot for my career. I've had a couple of tough seasons there. I've had a couple of good events there too, but I've had, overall point standings in MLF for 2 years. It's not been great for me, but I buy into the program. It is the greatest thing that's ever happened to the sport of bass fishing. There's no question in my mind about that. It's going to progress our industry further than anything has ever done. It's, we sat there with BASS, and I've got nothing against those guys. I love a lot of them guys over there. FLW was where my teeth, that's where I cut my teeth. I mean, that's where I grew up. So I love all those guys too. And the 5-fish deal is still, for me personally, that's what I grew up doing. That's what I love to do. And that's, I'm looking so forward. I mean, I loved going and fishing those super tournaments this year, and I'm looking so forward to doing it next year. Major League Fishing, I still think is the engine, and we're the train, and it's, does the tail wag the dog? Does the dog wag the tail? We don't know, but we're all one big family, and I want to fish all of it. That's my plan moving forward for 2021. My wife's all in on it. My sponsors are all in on it. So as long as everything works out logistically and the numbers work out for the 150 for the FLW tour, then I'm 100% I'm in. I'm fishing both of them.
So you mentioned in that conversation your sponsors, and there a couple of them that I want to touch on real quick. One of them's Hardcore. Let's talk about Hardcore. Explain to it what it is, and some of your thoughts on it, and hopefully you brought a couple baits you can show us.
Oh yeah, I've got some stuff. I've always got something tied on. So Hardcore is relative. It's not relatively new. It's brand new to the U.S. market. I mean, everybody has known Yo-Zuri for a long, long, long time, and Yo-Zuri is a Japanese brand that has been a great brand, a phenomenal brand for decades. And you've also heard of Duel in the past. You saw DUEL, Duel, which was the original Hardcore company, but it was also a Japanese company. So Hardcore itself is still the same family as Duel Hardcore and Yo-Zuri, but the Hardcore line is a line that we have developed for the American bass fishing market. I mean, it's a product that myself I've spent a lot of time on. Spencer Sheffield, there's a few of us that, and a lot of you guys watching will think, Japanese products, blah, blah, blah. You've all been through all that in the past, but they hired a couple of rednecks to work on the baits. So you got myself.
Talk about redneck ingenuity, right?
So you got myself and Spencer Sheffield that have been, the primary voices on what we do and what we don't do. And they brought some of the stuff over from Yo-Zuri, and we kind of tweaked it a little bit, but we're working on some deep Tennessee River stuff. We're working on a Crank 7 right now, which is going to be a 25-foot crankbait. We're working on a Crank 5 Plus, which is going to be an 18 to 22-foot crankbait. So we've got a lot of stuff that's in development, but they've already got some stuff that's proven. I mean, it's, I just got a box, and I wish I had them with me. They're in storage, but I just got a brand new box of 130 Hardcore jerkbaits. It's crazy good looking, which I don't really need them at Pickwick this week fishing a grass tournament, so I don't have them with me. But there's just a lot of really, really, really cool little things they got. This right here, I mean, my camera's backwards, guys. I'm left-handed, so this is hard anyway. This is called a Noisy, Noiz. It's a wake bait, but it has a propeller on the back of it. So Ricky said, hey, grab a couple rods. Well, this is the stuff that I've got tied on to fish the Tennessee River right now in the fall. It's the water temperature still 87, 88 degrees, but you guys that ever fish around grass mats, especially in the fall, you see those big fish. They come up, you know, in the edge of the grass mat, and they won't eat anything. They ain't never seen this dude before, and they're gonna see a lot of it this weekend. But it's a jointed wake bait, but it has a prop on it. It basically is a top water that you just have to see it in the water. And Ricky, you've seen it.
I was just getting ready to say, I think we have a video somewhere on that thing.
Yeah.
I'll try to hunt it down and get it posted on Bass 365 and our social outlets in the next day or so.
But if you don't think this bait will work and it's cool, go to Hardcore's web, to Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and look at the promotional video we did when we came out with the iCast stuff. I was throwing this bait in a bluegill pattern down in Florida back in March, and we went out. Tyler from Yozeri Hardcore went out with us, and we did some filming. And the first bite we got that morning, and we didn't even know this had happened until he went back and started editing. But I was throwing this bait, and I caught 2.5 pounder. You know, it wasn't a giant, but when he went back and slowed down the footage, there was a 4 pounder trying to eat it out of his mouth in the video. And they end up using that clip as like the highlight clip of the introduction video for the iCast stuff. So they like this thing, and it's anywhere they'll eat top water, they'll eat this thing. But, you know, Hardcore is the thing that I like about them the most is it's number one, it's great products. It has a weight transfer system that is patented by Hardcore Yozeri. You can throw even the 110 jerk baits, you can throw a mile on a bait caster because of that weight transfer system. Every one of the baits has it. The paint schemes are fantastic. They got good hardware. They got good hooks right out of the pack. You know, how many times have we all went and bought a crankbait that we love? You pull it out of the pack, you take the hooks off, you throw them in the garbage, and you put new hooks on it. You don't have to do that with any stuff.
That's awesome. Well, Jason, when you're coming down after, you know, you said you're on your way to the Florida Keys, you're going to be passing right by my house. So make sure you drop off or at least stop by and let me throw that wake bait for a little bit.
Dude, that wake bait.
It's might know a guy you can get one from there, Mikey.
I hope so. Got to be some extra little perks to doing
all right
every once in a while.
Absolutely right, man.
That's it. But no, I mean, a bait like that, it looks fantastic. I know personally how well wake baits work down here in Florida, and I like the size of that one too. That's another thing. A lot of topwater baits, you know, they're a little too small for our Florida bass down here. They like big. They like big baits. They eat 12-inch shiners, so they're going to eat that. The heck of that.
When we were at Okeechobee for the MLF event this year, I had talked to Marty Stone. That he called me the day before. Which, I mean, I've had some really good history at Okeechobee, and so they called, hey, what you think's going to happen? And I told Marty that, dude, I'm fixing to catch them on this wake bait that nobody's ever seen, nobody's ever heard of. And he's like, what? And I thought, yeah, dude, I'm telling you, this thing's legit. And I did. I caught him on it in practice, and the first day I caught, like 3, 4.5s on it the first day. And then I ended up taking the hooks off of it and throwing it the rest of practice. And I had 15, 20, 30 blow-ups a day on it. But, I mean, if you remember that event, it got a little windy on us.
Yeah, right.
So we didn't, that's the other thing about a wake bait. You need relatively flat water. And, we still end up having a good event there. I caught them on a vibrating jig for the most part. But I was looking
you and everybody else.
And that wind started blowing, and oh well.
That's
so,
great.
Jason, 2 other things that I wanted to specifically touch on tonight. Ducket, a lot of new things coming out. You got several rods that will be introduced this year in your signature series. We've got some videos for those that will be coming out soon. Yeah. And we talked the other night when we were here with Casey Scanlon about the resource and preserving the resource, and these 5-fish weigh-ins, how they can be so hard on the fish. And you've got a product that you work with, a plastic company that is changing the game. So if you could just touch on those 2 quickly, that would be awesome.
Well, I mean, I'll start by talking about five fish limits. I mean, five fish limits it's what built the world of bass fishing. The only reason all three of us are sitting here having a conversation with everybody else out there is because we started with five fish limits. With that being said, at one time the rotary telephone was a freaking awesome thing too.
That's very true.
You know, it's progress happens in our world, whether we want it to or whether we don't. You either get on board and you stay with it, or you get left behind. So, you know, Major League Fishing is advancing the sport now. With also with that being said, everybody doesn't have the capability of doing that now. I mean, it's not financially responsible for, you know, the BFLs to go out and do that, and it's not, you know, or a club tournament or whatever. At some point, I think there's going to be an app of some kind where every tournament that we fish will be some kind of catch, weigh, and release event. But there's a couple things. I mean, BioBait, number one, is a company that is a 100% plant-based product. It is a plastic company. We build plastics for, you know, any circumstance you want, whether it's walleye fishing, bass fishing, whatever you do in the world of fishing, BioBait has a product for you. It's not a biodegradable product. It is a hydrodegradable product, which means I can take a BioBait plastic out of a package and I can lay it on the front deck of my boat, and 10 years from now, it'll still be laying there. But if I throw that bait into the water, or a fish comes up and jumps and slings the bait off the hook and it goes into the water, it's hydrodegradable. So what ends up happening in about I mean, it varies on the size of the bait, obviously, and the thickness of the bait, but anywhere from, you know, 2 weeks to 4 weeks, there's nothing left of that. It disintegrates back into
that's awesome
product. So it is 100% environment friendly, but it's not, you know, everybody thinks about biodegradable. It's not biodegradable because that degrades in the air. It has to be in the water to degrade. So that's what kind of makes it special as well. So you can't throw the same worm for a month. It's going to go to waste in the water.
That's right.
At the same time, if you left it in your boat for 2 years, it's still going to be there. But it's very environment friendly. It's a very good product. The way that they build the product out of the plant-based stuff, they can infuse a lot of sin into it. Ricky, you've grabbed a hold of a couple of them when we're doing shoots. You're like, man, I need a towel. Let's think, but it's real oily. It's what you want for fishing.
We all lose a plastic. You know, a fish rips it off, it falls off on a cast, whatever happens. That plastic doesn't. It sits there and it bloats and it bloats and if you've seen a Senko that's been sitting in the water for 3 weeks, it doesn't look anything like a Senko anymore. It looks like half a snake or something.
Yep. I've seen them. I've literally seen them where you catch, you know, I mean, not even on the fish, but you'll hang a line or something and pull it up, and it'll have an old brush hog or whatever on it.
Right.
Instead of being, you know, 5 inches long, it's 9 inches long, and it's big as a rope. And I've actually caught fish where they'll spit it up in the live well, and it'll be a great big worm or whatever. And I've seen them, you know, you catch them with something hanging out of their bottom, and you pull it out, and it's a plastic worm that was a 6-inch trick worm that's now 9 inches long. So,
right.
I mean, it's there's you know, one of the things, and I've said this many times, and I've tried every time I get a chance to talk to high school kids or college kids, I try to say this as plainly as I can, but in a way that everybody will understand. You take a lake like Kentucky Lake. I mean, it was the greatest fishery that's ever been for 10, 15 years. I mean, it was the best tournament fisherman's lake in the world.
Right.
And it just got fished to death. And the problem was, it's not that it got fished to death. If you catch them, I don't care if it's 100 degrees and you catch them and you turn them right back loose and swim right back down, that fish is fine. But when you bounce him around in a live well, just like you said, Mickey, I mean, just like us at Sandusky, I killed a fish the first day and I killed a fish the second day, but I was making, you know,
and you were doing everything you
possibly could. Yeah. But, I mean, I was putting ice on my live wells. I had clips on the fish. I had, you know, I stopped on my way back twice to make sure my live wells were full. But I mean, when you get in 4 to 6 footers for 50 miles. I mean, you're just it's
right.
not it's killing the fish, it's killing you too. But
I mean, you know what it's doing to you, and you can hold on. Imagine that fish in a live well that's got absolutely nothing to hold on to.
Well, and there's other things you can do in rough water tournaments too. I mean, a lot of guys go by the noodles, the
Right.
swimming pool noodles.
Yeah, lay them across.
Lay them on top. I don't do that. I've got 2 throw cushions, just throw cushions that you have to have in your boat, required by law, and they're the perfect size. Once you fill your live wells up, you put them in the live wells, and it keeps the fish from hitting the top. Now you can't really do much about the bottom or the sides, but the latches on the top of your lids and stuff like that do more damage. So
right.
put those throw cushions in there, and as much as we want to take care of them, we're going to kill one every now and then. That's just part of it.
Right.
But if we went by what biologists say, we should be eating some of them anyway. I mean, they put limits out there because of numbers.
For a reason.
I'm not going to eat one. So if we kill one, then we don't want to kill one, but it's not the end of the world. They put limits on these fish for a reason, because they can overpopulate. Deer can overpopulate.
Absolutely.
Everything can overpopulate. So you just take care of them the best you can take care of them. If you lose one every now and then, it's not the end of the world. But I do think Major League Fishing is making headway. And I do think at some point there's going to be an app. And I think that 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, who knows what it is, we won't need a live well in a bass boat anymore. So
right.
And I would love to see that. I would love to see that, and I would love to see, like I said before, a combination of the two. And I know Major League Fishing is going to try to do it where we got a big show at the end, where all of us fans can actually interact with you guys and see. I don't know how exactly they're going to do it, but to have that weigh-in kind of expo feeling.
And we talked about it the other night, Mikey. We did it year 1 of the Bass Pro Tour with the activations. All the anglers came across stage. They were there to talk. It was amazing. COVID changed that all. Yeah. Hopefully 2021 we can get back to that. Do you remember, Jason? I mean, everybody went across the stage. It was like a big party, right?
I mean, everybody came in. We drove through. You had time to talk about sponsors. You had time to meet and greet fans. You had a lot of time. And you're right. I mean, this whole coronavirus thing has not just, I mean, it's changed everybody's life. It's not just changed our deal with fishing, but and there's some things that we've discussed with Major League Fishing. I mean, a lot of guys are like, well, heck, we don't want to come to the post game if we know who won. And there's some things we've talked about. Do we cut the feed off for the last hour? I mean, there's things we can do to
kind of like what FLW does. They stop the live feed at like 2:00 or something like that. So there's still a big guess. Like, did so and so catch him big at the end? Did he jump from 10th to 1st? Or so they still have that kind of thing. I'm sure there's a way that it can be where it works on both ends.
Well, I can assure you, knowing Boyd the way that I know Boyd and Jim and those guys with Major League Fishing, we know it's not perfect. And we knew last year it wasn't perfect. And we probably had more changes from 19 to 20 than BASS or FLW have had changes in 20 years. And so it's a lot of it is fan interaction. I mean, we've got to figure out a way, once we're through this whole coronavirus and COVID BS mess that we're in, once we can get through all of this stuff and figure out that everybody can actually get back together again, then we do have to address fan interaction, because I know today, man, I'm putting in at a little bitty ramp down in Waterloo, Alabama, and I got 2 or 3 guys comes up and wants to take pictures, and I love that. I love that as much as the fans love that.
Right.
So I enjoy it, and I know 95% of our anglers love that just as much as the fans love it. So we got to figure that out, and we will. I mean, the one thing I'll say,
it's a powerful team behind you guys.
Oh, dude,
that's all I'm gonna say about it.
The guys that I will honestly say this: if I decided that I was going to leave bass fishing tomorrow and go back into the world of sales and marketing and everything that I'd done before I got into bass fishing, I don't want to go to work for them guys, because it is some of the smartest people, business people, you know, Boyd and Gary and Jim and all those guys, Brubaker, everybody over there, and Kroenke. I mean, obviously, look at what Stan Kroenke's done in his career. So it is one of the smartest management teams of people that I have ever worked with, and I've worked with a lot of different companies through my career. And trust me, we know that there's some things that we need to work on as a organization, as Major League Fishing, not necessarily for us, but for you, the fan. But as the fan too, it makes our life better. I mean, you have a bad day and you come off the water and you hadn't caught them, and people come up and start wanting to take pictures, and it takes your mind off of you wanting to kill somebody at that point in time. So it's, you know, we love the interaction. I promise you, as a professional angler, I love interacting with the fans and signing autographs and taking pictures and doing all that. I'm looking forward to the day that we can get back to doing it.